guys probably know him already.
There's somebody waiting on an opening statement because I don't have one. So,
what's it like being back at OSU?
oh, I think it's great being back at Oklahoma State. I mean, as I've said this previously, our family really enjoyed being here. So it's, you know, it's obviously the place has changed tremendously since we were here before. You know, obviously the support has changed, and obviously the expectations have changed.
What kind of offense do you run?
Boy, right to the point there. Well, again, Dana did a great job here, really did. I think anybody'd be silly with all the returning starters to not implement what they had done in the past. With that being said, we have to find a way to make it Oklahoma State's offense. That's what it is. It's Oklahoma State's offense. Dana is now at West Virginia. The staff that's here now on offense has to make it moving forward what we want it to be.
Coach had said that you had met with Brandon before you were hired. What did you guys talk about?
It's interesting talking to him since his age. Right away he called me Todd, so I knew I wasn't talking to an 18-year-old. So it was a lot like an NFL guy. He's older, you know. I just think he wanted to know potentially who was going to be coaching him, who was going to be he was going to have to deal with on a daily basis. You know, obviously with him and Justin coming back, there was concerns there. So we really didn't talk a lot about what you might think offensive philosophy or my background. He'd already done some research. It was more like, okay, what is this guy like? What's he like to be around on a daily basis? What's he going to bring to the table as a person? You know, but then again, you know, how do you really know? I mean, that's, to me, that's, you know, a guy calls you on the phone, it's 20 minutes. I mean, the proof's in the pudding. Whether I was in the NFL or Jones Junior High, if I come in and do a good job, then great. If not, then you're fired. So it's, you know, I mean, I say that kiddingly, but, you know, it's hard to, you know, in that moment of time. But, you know, I think there's, like anything, there's some apprehension.
Have you decided whether or not you're going to be on the field or up in the back?
Oh, that's the last thing I've thought about so far being here. It's a good question, but I haven't thought about it.
Todd,
I'm just still trying to figure out the weird signals, you know, what you do. I don't know that yet.
Todd, I suppose, obviously with the guys they have coming back on offense, that had to attract you to come back here to Stillwater, but I suppose probably something that did even more are the changes that have happened here since you were here with Les.
I think it's all the above. Somebody asked me, you know, is it hard to follow Dana? Well, it's a lot harder if you don't have good players coming back. I mean, shoot, I want to be somewhere there's good players, you know, and there was good players coming back. So, and you hit it on the head. I mean, obviously, the expectations have risen, and your ability to attract the caliber of athlete that you want to be able to attract to give yourself a chance to win every game. That's why you do it. There's nothing more disappointing than not being able to attract great football players to where you can compete every weekend. That's why you do it. I've been in a number of places like that, and it's very difficult. So there was a lot to that, yes.
Coach, can you think of any specific lessons you've learned coaching with the Jaguars that's going to help you here?
Oh, I think wherever you go, you learn lessons, whether it's there or whether it was at LSU. I don't know if there'd be any one thing that I could pinpoint. I learned in the NFL that you don't control personnel, and that's a hard league to win at consistently if you don't have a top-notch quarterback, because you can't replace players as quickly. But one thing you do learn is you do learn how to take advantage of personnel matchups and the things that you can control, because no one cares. You still got to find a way to win, which is what our business is. No one cares. Two years ago, the team went, 9-3, got to a major bowl game, and without Dez and without Kendall most of the year, you got to find a way to win. That's all the people care about, find a way to win.
Todd, what do you think of the players that you have? I suppose you've had time to at least look at a little bit of tape from last season.
I had a chance to look a little bit before I left. Most of the NFL teams have, you know, a lot of the college tape on file, so you have a chance to look, and obviously very impressive. the system that Dana ran, and that system is very simple in terms of number of plays, and you can see that on film, the execution. The one thing that I did like about it is they could run the football. I mean, that gives you an opportunity to throw the ball down the field vertically when you're able to run the football. If you can't do that, then you've got to count on guys to catch and run with it, and you've got to be more horizontal. So I think the one thing that I would say is they did a great job running the football along with being explosive throwing it.
NFL is so much about the NFL is so much about the X's and O's, almost purely college game. A little bit more, you have to kind of take care of your players and worry about all this other stuff. Did you miss any of that? How it's just black and white pretty much in the NFL between the two?
Oh, it's different. It's like you work at IBM. You know, I mean, you go into the building and you basically learn, you coach the guys they put in your room. But again, there's a number of jobs. They have pluses and minuses to both. I'm still blessed. They pay me to coach football for a living, no matter what level that is. But it is different. You don't have the same relationships like you have here in college with your players. It's a different deal. It's not. It revolves more around money, and it should. That's what those guys do for a living, and that's hard to try and, you know, when you're balancing team and getting paid. Those are very difficult things in the NFL that you have to deal with, where you don't deal so much with that here. And you do miss that. You miss some of those relationships and college game day and all that entails, where in the NFL it's a much different environment. So yeah, there's a lot that you miss about that.
Personality-wise, how would you characterize your coaching style? Dana was character.
Oh, I don't think I have a style. I've never ever thought that I had a style. I know it sounds, I don't know. I wish I had a style. I wish I really thought I could pinpoint what I was, but I don't know that. So I just like to coach. I mean, my whole family's in coaching, and like I say, I'm blessed that someone thinks I'm good enough to be the offense coordinator. I've always been lucky that I've made a lot of money and very fortunate. So that's it.
When you were back here to OSU, you coached Rashawn Woods. Do you see any similarities between him and Blackman?
Too early to tell, really. You know, and then to compare them, obviously they're both great players. You know, Rashawn was, I can speak more highly to him because I was around him for 3 years, so, and, well, 2 years, excuse me. But obviously Rashawn, by his play, helped me in my career. I mean, you get elevated by having good players. You win games and you have good players, you get elevated. When I got to LSU and we had Jamarcus Russell and Dwayne Bowe and first-round picks, I got elevated because we had good players. So we coached them up, but recruit good players, coach them up, and go win a bunch of games, and people want you.
Thanks, Coach. Have a seat. Guys, this is Coach Singleton. I'll be coaching running backs.
How's it going, guys?
I played at Air Force and coached at Air Force for several years and was a native of San Antonio.
Coach, just talk about your feeling on being here at Oklahoma State.
No, this is an exciting time for me in my life and for my family. We're glad to be a part of a program that has a tradition of winning. And you look at, you know, Coach Gundy and what he's been able to accomplish here. And I'm excited to come be a part of that, excited to work with a great group of young men that have shown that they know how to win.
Gets you a little bit closer to home, too, I guess.
It does. It does. Definitely makes it a short drive. Some of those 16-hour drives from Colorado Springs down to see my dad were some long hauls, so really fired up about the fact that we're real close now.
Seems like if you're going to be coaching running backs, it might be a place you might be, huh?
Not bad. You know, I was walking through the facilities just the other day and saw the Tailback U board and looking at some of the great backs that have played here. And hopefully I've got a chance to work with great backs just like that.
Have you familiarized yourself any with, I'm sure you have a little bit, with the guys that are here, that the talent is already here?
Briefly I have, you know, haven't had a chance to really watch a whole lot of film, but when you look at numbers and you look at, you know, the two young guys that we had that played a bunch last year, it's exciting to see guys that have already been to battle but still have a lot of time left in their career.
Obviously, the big game, Kendall Hunter is departing. How do you feel a void like that?
Well, I think it definitely helps, as I mentioned, that last year Kendall Hunter wasn't the only guy that lined up in the backfield. So you do have guys that have played, have gone in. Now, obviously, a great back, great production that he put. So you got a chance for these young guys to really step up and try and fill those shoes.
Did you know any of these guys did very well before coming down here? Mike or Todd or
No.
or other coaches that are on staff?
You know, not really. You know, obviously through a common friend, a guy that I look up to and helped me do a lot of things as a player when I was at Air Force. Was there my junior and senior year, Larry Fedora, who spent a significant amount of time here. He's a guy that really in this entire profession and for me in my career development has been a guy that I've always talked to and bounced ideas off about and those type of things. So obviously he was a guy that I talked to and worked with very closely when I was thinking about this opportunity.
What did you think when you walked in and saw the facilities here and how that compares maybe to other places that you've seen?
Well, you know, I think the thing that struck me first was this place cares a lot about its football. You know, football is important here, and I think that's got to be a factor with the program that wants to do things and wants to be competitive in the future. So they've got that thing checked off. And I think, but more importantly, bricks and mortar and all that doesn't really make it. It's the people of this institution that really make it go, and that's probably what excited me the most. You know, getting to talk with Coach Gundy a little bit and getting a feel to meet some of the other coaches and kind of get a feel that this was definitely a place that not only cares about its football, but has a staff and a plan in place to stay competitive for a lot of years.
How much do you know about the offense they ran last year, and to that point, how do you plan on learning it?
Well, you know, obviously had some interaction against an offense similar to this at Air Force. We did play Houston multiple times, but this is the Oklahoma State offense, and I think learning the X's and O's of an offense isn't a tough thing. You just learn some different names and some different numbers and all that, but the basic fundamentals of football are the same. As a running backs coach, making sure my guys take care of the football, making sure that they're aggressive and fundamentally sound. Those things don't change whether you're running a triple option offense or a 5-wide spread offense. None of that stuff really changes.
Did you know Todd Monken was working here at Oklahoma State?
Yeah, I did not. I did obviously had some interaction with a family member of his cousin is the head coach at Georgia Southern right now, and he was at Navy, you know, one of our teams that we played every year. So just I knew the name, not quite the face.
So what do you think? Is that a recruit?
Oh, very excited, very excited. You know, this entire offensive staff is, I think Coach Gundy's brought together a bunch of different guys with some different backgrounds to fill maybe some of the voids that were left, and I think it's gonna be great to work with this staff.
How exciting is it to have such a young, talented core of running backs coming in and that have already been here?
Excited might not be the right word because you'd like to come in and have a core of older running backs that have played a bunch and a bunch of seniors. But obviously the fact that they've played and they've been in battle definitely helps them. And you're talking about some great athletes now. And, you know, I've jumped on, I've watched some of our incoming signees and seen what they've been able to do. So I'm fired up about the opportunity to work with some guys and hopefully for a lot of years.
Very good. Last up, Coach Dunn came from Southern Miss. Before that, a couple years in Seattle. So he also had the misfortune of some Larry Fedora getting put on his line.
Fortunate.
Well, Coach, first of all, your reaction to coming here to Oklahoma State?
Fantastic. Mama Bear was just here this past weekend, and she loves Stillwater. So we are excited to be here and hopefully get the family here as soon as possible.
Had you been here at all before? Or I guess you talked to Larry quite a bit about what
Yeah.
it was like up here.
You know, there are a few folks down at Southern that had spent time here. You know, Fedora was here, Robert Matthews, you know, Walt Bell, one of the graduate assistants, was down there. And all those guys had nothing but great things to say about this place. So it was a pretty easy transition for us, and it was tough leaving Fedora. There's no question about that. I mean, I really liked the guy, and you know, thankful for everything he did for us. So it really made it a lot harder probably to leave Southern because of Coach Fedora than what it may appear. But this is a great place. We're excited to be here.
What do you know about the Oklahoma State offense?
Well, I know it's ours, and I know that we're going to continue to move the football, and we're going to do everything we can to try and keep this thing as consistent for the players as possible. And you know, it's probably a little easier on, you know, 3 coaches, 3 new guys to adjust to something than probably 40. So I think we're trying to keep it as tight as we can and as close as we can to what we did last year.
Coach, you have some Big 12 experience with Baylor, also some NFL experience. Can you talk about just how
Yeah, that's tough. You know, I'm not so sure that experience helped me get this job. It probably came down to a recommendation, I hope, from Coach Fedora in a weird sense of way. But, you know, Seattle was a good experience. You know, it's NFL for a reason, right? Not for long. I mean, it was one of those things where you went in there, you enjoyed the experience, and you think you're on the front end of something there with Coach Mora, and then all of a sudden, you know, Pete Carroll's the next head football coach, and that's a year later after, you know, so 1 year with Coach Mora is shocking, but at the same time, it was, you know, I garnered a lot of great experience and opportunity there, and hopefully I'll be able to use it down the road.
What do you think about the guys that you're going to be coaching now?
Oh, I think it's great. I mean, how can you not like coaching the Bolitnikoff winner? I mean, that's that's pretty easy stuff. I just hope I don't screw him up.
Have you ever?
A lot of things for me. You know, if you look back at my resume, it looks like, you know, we're a traveling tour band or something, this family of ours. So we've bounced around quite a bit, and we'd like to sink in for a while. So you asked me why this place is you know, intriguing, and for us is because there's an opportunity here, I think, with Coach Gundy to be here for a while, to sink in your roots, and to get my kids hopefully in, you know, a long ways through school. You know, my kids are getting to that point now where they're right there at that, you know, high school, junior high age, and it's getting tougher and tougher to move each year. You know, it was harder to leave Hattiesburg than it was to leave Seattle to go down there, just because the age the girls are getting now. So, like I said, it's getting tougher and tougher. So from the family aspect, that's it. Professionally, this is a great opportunity. There's no question, you know. And work with Gundy is a great thing, and coaching receivers here, and the expectation level that has been put on this program. I mean, everybody wants to win, and you want to be on board with a winner.
Coach, where do you, if you want to stay here a while, where do you see this program in 5 years from now, let's just say?
Well, I hope the program's still here in Stillwater, because I like this town, but you know, it's tough to say. You'd like to say that the bar's getting raised every year, and the expectation level's getting higher and higher, and you know, that there's hopefully we have the consistency with the staff, because I think that it's tough to win that national championship with turnover. And we're going to do everything we can right now with the 3 new guys that are in here to try and get that done, because, you know, there are a lot of pieces in place here for a great season, and we need to make that happen.
With you and the other new coaches coming in and spring practice coming up, is it pretty much a matter of kind of having to hit the ground running and trying to get a lot of things accomplished in a really quick time? Yeah, you know, we had a chance to visit this morning for just a little while, but we haven't had, you know, anything other than that. I mean, today was the first offensive staff meeting, you know, and I'm sure there's going to be some long hours before this one's said and done, and before we get to March 7th for spring ball. So absolutely, I mean, nose will be to the grindstone. A lot of guys have a lot of things to learn.
Does that make it easier that there's 2 other guys coming in at the same time as you?
Yeah, no question, no question. I mean, it's, I mean, I think so. You know, from the standpoint that, you know, hey, the thing's being taught over again. You know, we're learning all the same things. You know, the flip side of that coin would be, you know, if it was just one guy, then there are more people on the staff with that knowledge of the offense. So it's hard to say. But, you know, for me personally, I'll enjoy it because you'll get to hear everything. You know, right now Singleton's going to hear more about the run game and protections and things like that, and I'll hear all of that and as a receiver coach. So that part of it, you know, is great for me.
We're learning what learning what was going on here, but I suppose you and Jamel and Todd will also have a chance to kind of throw in the knowledge that you have from other places, and maybe some things that you guys did where you were before that might also work here. Oh, no question. There'll be some wrinkles, I'm sure, in there. But, you know, like I said, I think at the end of the day, it's probably easier for 3 guys to learn than 40. So, you know, I don't see too much deviation from what we've been doing. It's our offense, and we're going to stick with it and make the most of the situation. But, yeah, I think, you know, Todd's had a lot of experience. Coach Monken has, and I'm sure he'll add some things to this offense and try and, you know, get it that much better.
At least at this point, you know, the idea that the players may know the offense a little bit better than you, is that intimidating at all?
No. You know, I mean, this wouldn't be the first time. You know, probably won't be the last either. But I don't think so. You know, I mean, there's enough experience there, and you know, this wouldn't be the first rodeo, so we'll just come on in and go to work.
Have you met with Blackman?
Yeah, I have a little bit. I haven't sat down and visited with him and started watching tape or anything like that, but yeah, I've met with him just to say hey. introduce myself. He's a great kid. He came up, actually I'll tell you what happened is he came up to me in the weight room and introduced himself. So, very polished young man.
Just rapid ascent. I'm sure anywhere you were in the nation, in your position especially, you kind of notice the guy that comes from no one really knowing about him to a guy that wins the Political Award. Testament to his hard work. I know you haven't really got to see it that much so far, but as an outsider, when you were an outsider looking in on that situation.
You know, and I'll tell you, to hear more about the young man after getting here is really something, because it tells me that he's a pretty competitive young guy. You know, it's going to go out there and you know, he was the guy coming in, but he wasn't necessarily the one that was, you know, make all the grabs for us at the end of the year. So I don't know what his expectation was coming into the season, but he certainly sees an opportunity and was competitive enough, you know, day in and day out to push himself to become better. So I'm anxious to see what makes him tick, you know, and get a little closer to him, because, you know, obviously he pulled himself along this year and the rest of the offense as well. I mean, it wasn't just Blackman. I mean, I know he's the guy that's, you know, picked up some awards, but you got to say a lot of great things about a lot of players on this offense, and just happy to have all these guys back.
When you were thinking about coming here, it had to be a little bit impressive, I guess, to see two guys like Whedon and Blackman, especially Blackman, who had opportunities maybe to get into the NFL, who decided, you know what, we like what's happening in Stillwater, we're going to stay for our senior year and make that commitment.
No question. I mean, those have to be the top two recruits in the class, right? I mean, that's the bottom line to it. So we're glad to have those guys back. They're the head of the class, and we'll get them going again this spring, and, you know, go back to the basics. You know, you can't leave your fundamentals, and I'm sure that that's part of what they would like to do too. You know, they'd like to get better within the system, but at the same time, they need to become better football players if they want to, you know, push themselves in the NFL and stay there for a long time. So I'm sure they're driven to, you know, increase their fundamentals and knowledge of the game. So it'll be exciting working with those guys.
Everybody good?